Warning, incoming goblin. Warning, incoming game. You get it. It's a reboot reference. You get it. You get it. Okay, bye.
This video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. If you're looking for cards in the US, look no further, as you can use the promo code MTGMUDSTA to get you 5% off anything on the site. Or if you're in Canada like me, you can use the same promo code at Multizone to get 10% off your orders of singles. If cards aren't what you're looking for, Original Magic Art has playmats, tokens, and sweet art that you can use that same promo code to help you get 5% off your order there. If you're looking to bling out your cards, using Alter Sleeves is a great way to do so, and you can click the affiliate link in my About section to help out the channel as you make an order. And if you just want to help out the channel, you can always consider becoming a patron for as little as $1 a month and join the generic Goblin Gang. Hey gang, and welcome back. Today's game takes us back to Multizone, and Max is playing his Meren deck, keeping an Exotic Orchard, Overgrown Tomb, Foul Orchard, Satyr Wayfinder, Altar of Dementia, Ashnod's Altar, and Cauldron of Souls. Kevin is playing Galazeth, keeping Dragonstorm, Sensei's Divining Top, Counterspell, Treasure Vault, Soul Ring, and a Cascade Bluffs. Ryan is playing Earl, keeping of Plains, Blessing of Niflheim, Exotic Orchard, Temple of Abandon, Bear Umbra, SRAM Senior Edificer, and a Sacred Foundry. Adam has borrowed Ryan's Animar deck, keeping Generator Servant, Forbidden Orchard, Muldrifter, Reflecting Pool, Ancestral Statue, Beastcaller Savant, and Ornithopter of Paradise. Ryan wins the die roll and starts us off. Ryan plays a tapped Temple of Abandon and scries 1. Adam plays a Forbidden Orchard. Max just plays a Foul Orchard. Kevin plays a Cascade Bluffs and has that classic turn 1 Soul Ring. He taps a Soul Ring into Sensei's Divining Top and uses the remaining floating colorless to activate it. Ryan plays an Exotic Orchard, and thanks to Adam's Forbidden Orchard, is able to tap it for a white to help cast SRAM Senior Edificer. Adam plays a Reflecting Pool and Don't Think Otherwise, and casts a Beastcaller Savant. Max plays a tapped Colony Garden and puts out a 0/1 plant into play. Kevin plays an island, and then casts his commander, Gazalith Prismari, who upon entering makes him a treasure. Ryan plays a land which comes in tapped, and moves to combat, swinging SRAM at Max, who takes the 2. Adam plays a forest, and then taps enough to cast his commander, Animar Soul of Elements. Max plays a land that comes in tap for turn, and casts a Satyr Wayfinder. He looks at his top 4, finding a forest and keeping it, and milling the other 3. Kevin plays a Treasure Vault, and then uses it to activate the top. He then activates the top, putting it on top to draw a card, and moves to combat. He swings the 2 tokens he got from the Forbidden Orchard at Ryan, and his commander at Max for 3. Both of them take the hit, and Kevin then passes. Ryan plays a Carplusian Forest to help cast Sithis Harvest Hand, who will draw him a card and gain him a life for each enchantment he casts, but unfortunately this is counterspelled by Kevin. Ryan then casts a Messenger's Speed, enchanting SRAM and drawing him a card. He then swings the Trampley SRAM at Kevin, who has no blocks and has to take it. Adam pays 2 and casts an Ornithopter of Paradise, which puts a +1/+1 counter onto Animar. He then follows up with a Generator Servant for only 1 red and gets to put another counter onto Animar, further reducing the cost of his creatures by 1. Adam then casts an Arbor Elf, putting a third +1/+1 counter onto Animar, and passes to Max. Max decides to copy Adam's example, casting Meren. Moving to Max's end step, he gets a Meren trigger and gets to return a creature from his graveyard to his hand, and he picks Mikaeus. With nothing else, he passes to Kevin. Kevin plays a Mountain for turn, and recasts his Sensei's Divining Top after drawing it. Moving to combat, he swings Galazeth at Ryan, and his tokens at Max, dealing 3 apiece. Ryan goes to cast his commander to join the party, but Kevin wants to respond, and puts to stack a Valagat's Awakening. He puts away some cards to draw that many +1, and then activates his Sensei's Divining Top. With Earl resolving, Ryan then moves to combat, swinging SRAM at Adam, who decides to take the hit. Adam casts a free Sky Scanner, which draws him a card and puts a further counter onto Animar. Adam is then able to cast an Ancestral Statue, and is able to loop this by bouncing it back to his hand and recasting it over and over again to make Animar arbitrarily large. Kevin has something to say about this though, and casts a Cyclonic Rift to try and bounce Animar back to Adam's hand. Adam then recasts Animar, followed by a Spellskite, which puts another +1/+1 counter onto Animar. Adam then casts Fibblethip, the loss to draw him a card, and puts another counter onto Animar. He then pays 2 to cast Ancestral Statue again, putting another counter onto Animar, and then bouncing itself back to hand. Max plays a Forest for turn and casts on Ashnod's Altar. He sacrifices the plant token for 2 colorless mana and gains an experience counter for Meren. He then sacrifices the Wayfinder as well, having 4 floating colorless, and gets another experience counter. Using some of that mana plus some green, he casts Magic Slime, and then sacrifices it once it resolves, making some tokens, and getting more mana and another experience counter. He still has enough to cast a Mirage Mirror, and then sacrifices both of those new Ooze tokens to make 4 more smaller Ooze tokens. He then is able to cast a Cauldron of Souls. Moving to combat, he swings Meren at Kevin, who has no choice but to take the hit. And at his end step, he puts the Mitotic Slime back into play thanks to Meren's ability. Kevin's turn has him recasting the top, and he activates it to draw a card and put it on top. He plays a Scalding Tarn for turn, and then sacrifices it to go and find an island. He then taps some treasures and lands to help cast Mizzix's Mastery, exiling the Valakut's Awakening from his yard to cast it for free. He puts a few cards from his hand onto the bottom, and then draws that many +1, and passes to Ryan. Ryan casts Blessing of Niflheim, enchanting Earl and giving him +1/+1 for each of his colors, as well as +2/+2 for having 1 enchantment on him. He then enchants his commander with an Unflinching Courage, making Earl a 14/14, and swings it at Adam. Adam blocks Earl with Animar, and since it has protection from white, the damage is prevented, and Ryan then passes turn. Adam goes to recast the Ancestral Statue, and does the loop, making Animar real big. He's then able to cast out a free Blightsteel Colossus, and then, tapping a blue, casts a Muldrifter to draw him 2 more cards. He taps a Forbidden Orchard and gives a Spirit token to Ryan, and then casts a Llanowar Visionary. He then gets a free Voidwinnow after that, and then has to pay only 2 blue for Jin-Gitaxias Kor Augur. He moves to combat and swings Animar at Ryan. Ryan's got nothing, and takes way more than enough commander damage to get blasted out of the game. We move to Adam's end of turn, and he gets his Jin-Gitaxias trigger to draw 7, but Max decides to react to this by activating his Cauldron of Souls to give his creatures persist, and then sacrificing the Mitotic Slime for mana, and then activates his Mirage Mirror to have it become a copy of Jin-Gitaxias. In response, not wanting to have to discard his hand after drawing those cards, Adam pays 2 life and uses Spellskite to redirect the ability to itself, and is able to get around the hand discard. He then draws 7, and discards down to hand size. After drawing for turn, during Max's main phase, he once more activates the Mirage Mirror, this time targeting the Blightsteel Colossus instead. To which Adam responds with an activation of Spellskite again, and has the Mirage Mirror become a Spellskite again. Max then moves to his end step, and gets Meren's ability to bring back Gary, and drains the table for 3, gaining 6, and then discards his hand. Kevin casts Jeska's Will in his main phase, and targets Adam to gain 7 red mana, and then exiles his top 3 cards since he has his commander. He then casts a Prismari Command, making a treasure and drawing 2 and discarding 2. He uses some of the remaining mana he has to cast an Explosion, where X is 5, but Adam is ready with a Stubborn Denial that has Ferocious active. With nothing else, Kevin passes turn. Adam's turn has him casting a free Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger, and targets the Mitotic Slime and Grey Merchant. In response, Max gives all of his creatures persist again thanks to the Cauldron, and proceeds to sacrifice the ooze and Grey Merchant to the altar. The Grey Merchant comes back, and Max drains his opponents for 3, gaining 6, not to mention make some ooze tokens. Max then uses some of the floating mana to have his mirror become a copy of the Void Winnower. Adam then moves to combat, swinging the Blightsteel at Kevin, and Animar and the Void Winnower at Max. Kevin's gonna get taken out by Infect, and with no creatures being able to block on Max's side, he knows when he's beat and scoops it up. Game review time. So Animar is pretty much one of those commanders where you have to deal with him right away, no matter what he's playing. Even without the Ancestral Statue and the Blightsteel Colossus, paying 2 mana for Jin-Gitaxias is just too good. I'm a little surprised that Ryan wasn't a bit more aggressive towards his own deck since he knows what's in it, but here we are. I haven't seen a Ural deck, or Earl deck as I've been calling it, since the very beginning of my time playing EDH. It used to be one of the big bad boogeymen of EDH since you had such a hard time of getting rid of it. It was interesting to see how it paired up against some of the more modern commanders like Marin. I don't have much to say about Max's Marin deck, other than it seems to run a lot of the typical staples you find in the deck, but it was great to see that he brought his own tokens for the Mitotic Slime, which allowed him to have an accurate board state, which I'm sure viewers appreciated. Galazeth is certainly an interesting Izzet commander, and it seems to feed into that artifact theme that it's typically known for, in addition to the spellcasting. It's a bit of jack of trades since the artifacts can only be tapped for instants and sorceries, so you don't in theory ramp that hard. I'm not too sure what Kevin's game-winning plan was, although it did seem to be that he ran a lot of X spells, so maybe something involving one of those. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, Cool Stuff Inc., Multizone, Original Magic Art, and Alter Sleeves. But it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.